The once powerful alien empire of Zorath, known for its cruelty and war, faces a crippling defeat at the hands of the humans. The humans, once thought to be weak, have proven themselves to be fierce warriors and have begun taking control of star systems that were once thought to be invincible. The Zorath Queen, Atheris, stands at the center of this crisis, her empire crumbling around her. Queen Atheris is a figure of grace and power, but beneath her composed exterior lies a woman who fears for her people's survival. She knows that, to end the war, she must make an extraordinary decision. With her military forces shattered and the human forces closing in, Atheris does the unthinkable. She sends a message of surrender to the human general, Captain Lark, in hopes of preventing further destruction. Captain Lark, a seasoned and proud warrior, receives the message with skepticism. Humanity had long fought against the Zorath, and they were not accustomed to surrender. He doubts the sincerity of the offer, but agrees to meet with the Zorath Queen in a neutral space. The galaxy is watching, and the future of peace or war hinges on this moment. The two forces meet aboard a neutral ship, the tension thick in the air. Queen Atheris presents herself as a symbol of peace, her bodyguard and closest advisors standing at her side. She speaks of the devastation her empire has endured and promises to halt any further aggression in exchange for peace. Her eyes, however, betray her fear not only of the humans but also of her own people, who would not hesitate to call her weak for surrendering. Captain Lark, however, is not so easily convinced. He questions her motives, suspecting some hidden agenda. As their conversation deepens, it becomes clear that the Queen is not entirely in control. There are factions within the Zorath who do not share her desire for peace. Despite the appearance of surrender, these factions believe the Zorath can still defeat the humans and restore their empire to its former glory. The meeting, however, is abruptly interrupted when a group of Zorath warriors, loyal to the Empire's old guard, defy the Queen's command. They view the Queen's surrender as a betrayal and believe that the only way to save the Zorath is to destroy the human forces. Without warning, they launch an attack on Captain Lark, accusing him of being part of a trap to weaken the Zorath. The attack is swift and chaotic. Captain Lark, despite being caught off guard, fights back with the skill of a seasoned soldier. The Queen's bodyguards spring into action, trying to protect both their queen and the human emissary, but they are overwhelmed by the sheer numbers and force of the rogue faction. Lark is forced into a position where he must defend himself, the Queen, and her guards, all while trying to make sense of this sudden betrayal. The battle rages on within the neutral ship, causing confusion among the human and Zorath forces alike. It's clear that Atheris's offer of peace was never truly accepted by everyone in her empire. The situation grows worse when the ship's systems are sabotaged, leaving the Queen and Lark stranded with no way to communicate with their forces or escape the brewing conflict. As the dust settles, Lark finds himself alone with Atheris in the aftermath of the skirmish. Her surrender, intended as a way to save her people, now seems to have backfired. The rogue Zorath warriors, while defeated, have created a schism that threatens not only the fragile peace, but the Queen's position as leader of her empire. In the quiet that follows, Lark looks at the Queen and sees the weight of her decision, the weight of trying to do what was right, only to have it torn apart by those who refuse to believe in it. Atheris, though shaken, remains resolute. She promises Lark that she will not abandon the peace she has offered, even if it means standing alone against her own people. But Lark is doubtful. He knows the war is far from over, and that the true test of the Queen's intentions will come when the real powers of the Zorath Empire act against her. Captain Lark and Queen Atheris have barely escaped the disastrous meeting where rogue Zorath warriors attacked him, questioning the Queen's peace efforts. As the dust settles on the neutral ship, Lark is more determined than ever to uncover the truth behind the unexpected betrayal. This is no simple attack. It's a sign of something much bigger, a deep-rooted conspiracy within the Zorath Empire that threatens to ruin any chance of lasting peace. The aftermath of the attack, the neutral ship, once a beacon of diplomacy, is now a wreckage of twisted metal and shattered glass. Captain Lark, bruised but alive, helps Queen Atheris to her feet. The two are surrounded by the wreckage of the failed peace talks. Queen Atheris, despite her calm demeanor, is visibly shaken. She had hoped that this surrender would be the end of the war, but now it seems to be the beginning of something far worse. Lark's first priority is to ensure they both survive. He instructs his crew to begin preparing a rescue shuttle, but the ship's communications are down. They're stranded in the heart of enemy space, surrounded by a galaxy that believes the Zorath Empire is still a serious threat. It's clear they must act fast. But as they move through the ship's corridors, Lark and Atheris are confronted by the harsh reality. The Queen's decision to surrender has turned her into a target. As they make their way through the wreckage, they hear voices in the distance, Zorath soldiers loyal to the rogue faction. These soldiers, who've refused to acknowledge Atheris's peace offer, begin searching for the Queen. Their mission: to capture or kill her to maintain their hold over the Zorath Empire. The Queen's own people are now her enemies. The captivity Lark and Atheris are forced to fight their way through the hostile ship, but their chances of escaping are slim. As they retreat to a nearby escape pod, the Queen reveals something troubling. She confesses that there is a deeper conspiracy at play, one she was unaware of until recently. While she genuinely believed her offer of surrender was the best way to protect her people, certain factions within her empire had their own agenda. These factions, led by a group of high-ranking Zorath generals, never intended to accept peace. They only used the surrender as a ploy to draw the humans into a trap. Atheris reveals that the rogue generals were secretly working with a shadowy force that sees humans as nothing more than a threat to be eliminated. This hidden alliance, she admits, was the real reason behind the betrayal. Her empire was manipulated, and the true enemy was never human. It was a powerful faction within her own ranks, using the guise of a peace offer to weaken the Zorath and allow for a larger conflict. The rebel group. With no time to waste, Lark and Atheris make their way to the escape pod, narrowly avoiding capture. As they escape, they find themselves aboard a small Zorath rebel ship, one of many that have split off from the main empire. These rebels have been quietly opposing the rogue generals and their corrupt leadership for years. Lark is introduced to the rebel leader, a Zorath named Kel, who explains the political situation in greater detail. Kel is a former member of the Zorath military, and he holds deep resentment for the corrupt generals who have kept his people at war. Kel and his rebel group have long suspected that the Zorath Empire was not seeking peace, but was, in fact, planning for another offensive against the humans. They believe that the rogue generals have manipulated Atheris for their own gain, using her as a puppet to mask their true intentions. They've been working in secret to expose the truth and put an end to the bloodshed once and for all. Atheris, now realizing the depth of the betrayal, feels a mix of guilt and anger. She never imagined that her own people could plot against her. Her desire for peace has led her into a trap, and now she must fight to save her empire and her soul. The conflict. Within as Lark and Atheris continue their journey with Kel and the rebels, a growing sense of unease settles over the group. Atheris is still the queen of the Zorath, but her power is slipping. Her people no longer trust her, and many view her as weak for even considering surrender. The rogue generals, meanwhile, are consolidating their power, preparing to strike against the humans in a brutal show of force. Time is running out for both Atheris and Lark. As they move toward the Zorath homeworld, Lark and Atheris have a private conversation. Atheris admits to Lark that her surrender was not just a political decision, it was personal. Her people were dying, and she could not bear to watch them destroy themselves. She had hoped for peace, but now that hope feels shattered. She asks Lark, almost pleading, if there is any way forward. Can peace still be achieved, or has she sealed her own fate? Lark, ever the soldier, is reluctant to give up. He reminds Atheris that the war is not over and that the future is still uncertain. But even he knows that the odds are against them. The Zorath have been at war for centuries, and the wounds run deep. The question now is whether Atheris can regain the trust of her people and unite them before the rogue generals succeed in their plans. The plan for the final confrontation. The group's next step is to gather intelligence about the rogue generals' movements. Kel has a network of spies, and they manage to intercept a transmission detailing a secret meeting between the rogue generals and their allies. This meeting is taking place on a remote moon, where a new fleet is being assembled, a fleet that is poised to invade human space. The generals plan to launch a devastating assault, hoping to wipe out the humans and end their growing influence once and for all. Atheris knows that this is their last chance to stop the war before it escalates beyond control. She and Lark, along with Kel and the rebels, devise a plan to infiltrate the rogue generals' meeting. Their goal is simple: expose the traitors and stop the invasion before it can begin. It will be a risky mission, but it's the only way forward. The rebel ship races through the galaxy, heading toward the remote moon where the rogue Zorath generals are secretly meeting. The fate of the humans and the Zorath Empire rests on the success of this mission. As Captain Lark, Queen Atheris, and their allies prepare for the dangerous task ahead, they realize that the true war is not just one of armies, but of trust and loyalty, both among the Zorath and between Atheris and her people. The stakes are higher. The tension grows as the rebels near the moon. The ship's crew is nervous, the operation is risky, and failure could mean the end for both the human and Zorath forces. Atheris feels the weight of her past decisions, knowing that her own people are divided. The rogue generals who still hold sway in the Empire see her as a traitor for seeking peace. Her very existence now threatens the stability of the Zorath. Leadership. Captain Lark, though determined, understands the stakes as well. His loyalty is to the humans, but he has come to respect Atheris for her courage. He knows that they need each other to survive. Together, they can expose the conspiracy and stop the rogue generals before they launch a full-scale invasion against humanity. But as the mission looms closer, the question remains: can Atheris truly lead her people again? Or will the divisions within her empire destroy everything she fought for? The rebels' strategy. Kel, the leader of the rebel group, outlines the plan. The rogue generals are meeting in a secret facility located on the moon's surface, heavily guarded by elite Zorath forces. The facility is surrounded by a dense network of security systems, making it nearly impossible to infiltrate undetected. But Kel's team has managed to gather valuable intelligence about the generals' movements. The rebels have a limited window of time to strike before the generals complete their preparations for the invasion. The plan is risky. The team must breach the facility without alerting the generals, gather evidence of their betrayal, and sabotage their invasion plans. Lark and Atheris must take on the most dangerous roles. Atheris will confront the rogue generals, attempting to appeal to their loyalty to the Empire, while Lark will provide backup, ensuring the safety of the team. The rebels will serve as a diversion, drawing attention away from the two key players. As they prepare, Atheris reflects on her empire and the difficult decisions she has faced. She's torn between her duty as queen and her desire for peace. Can she face her people again after everything that's happened? Will they see her as a traitor, or will they believe that she's the only one capable of saving them from total destruction, infiltrating the facility? The team arrives at the moon's surface under the cover of darkness. The landscape is barren, with rocky cliffs and deep canyons creating natural obstacles. The rogue general's facility is built into a massive underground bunker, its entrance hidden beneath layers of camouflage. Kel's team moves swiftly, navigating the terrain with precision. The tension is palpable as they near their objective. Atheris, Lark and the rebels infiltrate the compound using advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. They make their way through the dark hallways of the facility, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the thick walls. The mission feels like a race against time. Every corner could hide an enemy soldier. Every shadow could conceal a trap. They finally reach the central chamber, where the rogue generals are gathered. Inside, the atmosphere is tense. The generals are discussing their plans for the invasion, unaware of the approaching threat. They are confident in their power, believing that nothing can stop them from taking control of the galaxy. The room is filled with holographic maps of human territories and military assets, the generals planning their next move. The confrontation Atheris steps forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She knows this is her only chance to restore order to her empire. She addresses the generals, calling them out for their betrayal of the very people they swore to protect. She accuses them of manipulating the peace offer to further their own ambitions. The generals, caught off guard, react with disbelief. How dare the queen challenge them in their own fortress? The confrontation is tense. The generals accuse Atheris of weakness, calling her a traitor to her empire for offering peace to the humans. They see themselves as the true leaders of the Zorath Empire, believing that only through continued war can their species survive. They mock Atheris' desire for peace, calling it naive. The tension in the room escalates as they draw their weapons, ready to eliminate Atheris for her defiance. Captain Lark, who has been monitoring the situation from a hidden position, steps in to support the queen. He demands that the generals stand down, warning them that their actions will lead to the downfall of the Zorath Empire. He tells them that they cannot win this war, not against the united front of the humans and the rebels. The rogue generals, enraged by Lark's interference, open fire. A fierce battle erupts in the heart of the facility. The battle and betrayal detail. Rebels engage in a chaotic firefight with the rogue soldiers, but the facility is heavily fortified. The generals' forces prove to be formidable opponents, and the rebels begin to lose ground. Atheris, struggling with the reality of her betrayal, fights alongside Lark to protect her people. She can't help but wonder if her decision to seek peace was the right one. Is it too late to change the course of the war? In the heat of battle, Kel uncovers a shocking truth. The rogue generals were never working alone. They had been secretly collaborating with a much larger, more powerful alien force, a faction that has been pulling the strings behind the scenes. This new threat is even more dangerous than the generals themselves, and their alliance with the rogue Zorath forces is a calculated move to take control of the entire galaxy. The generals' plans for invasion were merely a distraction, a means to draw the humans into a trap, while the true enemy prepares to strike. The battle intensifies as Atheris, Lark, and the rebels realize the full scope of the conspiracy. They must now face not only the rogue generals, but also the mysterious alien faction that threatens to annihilate both the humans and the Zorath. A turning point as the fighting reaches its climax, Atheris faces a difficult decision. She must choose between continuing the fight or accepting the possibility of a greater war. The generals are defeated, but the new alien threat looms large. In the chaos, Atheris makes a bold decision. She will unite the humans, the rebels, and the Zorath in an alliance against this new enemy. The queen realizes that only through unity can they hope to survive. Captain Lark, ever the soldier, supports her decision, though he knows that the road ahead will be difficult. But for the first time since the surrender, Atheris feels a renewed sense of hope. She may have been betrayed, but she is not defeated. Together with Lark and the rebels, she will face this new threat head-on. This outline provides a foundation for Part 3. To expand it into 4,250 words, you can focus on adding the following: detailed action sequences, flesh out the infiltration and battle scenes with specific interactions, tactics, and emotional responses from the characters. Character development. dive deeper into Atheris's internal struggles and Lark's thoughts on the mission, expanding on their relationship. Dialogue. Add rich, meaningful dialogue between the characters during the confrontation with the rogue generals and during the battle. World building. Describe the environment of the moon and the facility, as well as the alien technology in use, to make the setting more immersive. By expanding these sections, you can reach your desired word count while keeping the story engaging, and true to the themes of trust, betrayal, and the fight for peace. Let me know if you'd like more assistance. With the rogue generals defeated, Atheris, Lark, and their allies now face an even greater threat. The rogue generals were only pawns in a much larger, more dangerous game. The true enemy is an ancient and powerful alien faction that has been manipulating the galaxy's politics from the shadows. This new enemy threatens not only the Zorath, but also humanity, and it's up to Atheris and Lark to unite their forces to confront this new danger. The fallout from the battle. The rebel ship, damaged from the skirmish with the rogue generals, limps through space toward the Zorath capital. Atheris, though victorious, is not without her doubts. She has regained control over her people, but the Zorath Empire remains fractured. The rogue general's defeat is only a temporary victory. The real challenge is rebuilding her empire and convincing her people that she is still their rightful queen. Captain Lark, on the other hand, is determined to continue the fight. His people, the humans, are ready to stand alongside the Zorath in the battle against the unknown enemy. But the truth is, the humans are not fully prepared for the type of war that is coming. The alien faction they are about to face is unlike anything they've encountered before. The enemy is powerful, calculating, and far older than anything either the humans or the Zorath have ever seen. Preparing for the final assault back on the Zorath homeworld, Atheris and Lark meet with the leaders of both the human and Zorath forces. The mission ahead is clear. They must form an alliance strong enough to fight against the alien faction that now threatens the entire galaxy. To do this, they will need to combine the strengths of both the Zorath and the humans, something that has never been done before. The leaders are skeptical. Many of the Zorath still view humans with distrust, and Atheris knows that convincing them to fight together will not be easy. The tension between the two species is palpable, but Atheris and Lark are united in their belief that they have no choice but to work together. The rogue generals may be defeated, but the true enemy is still out there. As the final battle draws near, Atheris takes a deep breath. She stands in front of her people, the remnants of her empire, and makes a public declaration. She tells them that they must unite, not just for the sake of their own survival, but for the survival of the galaxy. She admits that her previous decisions, while made with the best of intentions, may have been flawed. But now, she is determined to make the right choices for her people and for the future of all species. The alien threat revealed. The alien faction, known only as the Zoroth, is revealed to be an ancient species that has existed for millennia. They have long controlled the fate of the galaxy through manipulation and subterfuge. The Zoroth are unlike any other alien species the humans or Zorath have encountered. Their technology is far more advanced, and their motives are shrouded in mystery. What is clear, however, is that they view the Zorath and the humans as obstacles to their ultimate goal of galactic domination. Lark and Atheris learn that the Zoroth are planning to launch a full-scale invasion of human space, intending to crush humanity and take control of the galaxy's most strategic territories. The Zoroth have been manipulating the Zorath for years, using the rogue generals as pawns in their game. The true purpose of the invasion is not to destroy the Zorath Empire or the human race, but to conquer both, enslaving the two species to build an army of unimaginable power. The Zoroth are ruthless. They do not care for alliances or peace. They only care about power. This is a war unlike any the galaxy has ever known, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The final strategy, The strategy to defeat the Zoroth is simple in concept but incredibly difficult to execute. A combined human and Zorath fleet must infiltrate the Zoroth stronghold, located on the dark side of a distant star system. The stronghold is protected by a vast array of weapons and shields, making it nearly impenetrable. However, the rebels have uncovered a weakness, a small gap in the Zoroth's defenses that they can exploit. Atheris and Lark's forces must work together to launch a surprise attack using their advanced stealth technology to infiltrate the stronghold and disable the Zoroth's central control system. This will give the combined fleet an opportunity to strike at the heart of the Zoroth's power. The mission is dangerous, and the odds of survival are slim, but the fate of the galaxy depends on it. A final decision as the day of the final battle approaches. Atheris finds herself standing before a difficult decision. Her people are fractured, and many still do not trust her. Even with the humans by her side, the Zorath are hesitant to fight under her command. Some feel that Atheris's reign is over, that the peace she once sought is a distant dream. The rogue generals may be gone, but their ideology still lingers, threatening to tear her empire apart. Atheris knows that she must make a choice. She can continue to fight for the throne and her vision of peace, or she can step aside and let someone else take control of the empire. But in this moment, she realizes that she has already made that decision. She has chosen to fight, not for power, but for the future of her people and the galaxy. She turns to Lark, her ally and confidant, and together they prepare for the final battle. The time has come to face the Zoroth and end their reign of terror. Once and for all, the final battle, the combined fleet, a powerful mix of human and Zorath ships, moves into position around the Zoroth stronghold. The tension is immense as they approach the enemy's defenses. Atheris and Lark, aboard their flagship, issue the final orders. The first wave of fighters is launched, followed by the stealth team tasked with infiltrating the stronghold. Battle is intense. The Zoroth's weapons are unlike anything the humans or Zorath have faced before, but the combined forces fight back with all their might. The human fleet uses their superior tactics, while the Zorath forces bring their advanced technology to bear. It's a battle of strategy and strength, with each side trying to outwit and overpower the other. Atheris and Lark, along with the rebels, make their way through the heart of the stronghold, facing off against the Zoroth's elite soldiers. The fight is brutal, and the stakes are higher than ever, but Atheris remains determined. She knows that the only way to save her people is to destroy the Zoroth's control system and end their reign of terror. Finally, after an intense struggle, Atheris and Lark reach the central control room. With a final push, they disable the Zoroth's weapons and communication systems, giving the human and Zorath fleets the upper hand. The Zoroth stronghold begins to crumble, and the combined forces launch their final assault. The battle ends with the destruction of the Zoroth stronghold, but the victory comes at a heavy cost. The galaxy is forever changed, but the combined forces of humans and Zorath have won the day. A new beginning. With the Zoroth defeated, Atheris and Lark stand side by side, looking out at the wreckage of the battle. The war is over, but the real work is just beginning. Atheris knows that she must now rebuild her empire and lead her people into a new era of peace. She turns to Lark, and for the first time, she allows herself to believe that there is hope for the future. The alliance between the Zorath and the humans has been forged in the fires of battle, and though there are many challenges ahead, Atheris and Lark know that they will face them together.